All right. Thanks, everyone, and welcome to our season premiere of OnIowa Live. We are excited to be here at the Pickle Palace here in Cedar Rapids. It is a change of venue. Thank you, Pickle Palace, for putting this on, and it's good to see some familiar faces in the crowd. Shout out to the Mule Monday crew. See you. And it's great, of course, to have our guests on. Scott Dochterman from The Athletic joining me now for year 15, right?
It's amazing we've made it this long, but here we are in a great new location overlooking the Cedar River. What a perfect place.
Well, we are happy to have you back. And then my colleague who has to sit next to me every day, Jack Lido, is here with us this week. How's it going?
It's going great. I'm so excited to join you, talk about what we see every weekend in college football. And I'm so excited, Chelsie, for you to host this thing and take us through.
Oh, well, I don't know. Be careful what you wish for. We're going to start something a little bit new, just kind of a weekend wrap thing. It can be anything, that brought you joy over the weekend. Doesn't have to be sports related, doesn't have to be football related, but just some kind of an icebreaker way to start the things off. I'll go first. I enjoyed the fact that there was real football this weekend, is what I like to call it. I watched the NFL preseason in the background. It's kind of background noise, though, but I got to sit down, for a quarter, mom to a toddler, so that's a different story. But I got to sit down, watch it, enjoy it a little bit, and it mattered. There was scores that mattered. The records mattered. That was fun. Scott, do you have anything you want to share?
I think seeing the game we saw was terrific. Two ranked teams, a rivalry game to kick off the season. It wasn't, there are other games in the country. You saw Kansas versus Fresno State, Stanford versus Hawaii, and it's great because it's real football and the games matter. But I think to see a rivalry game, the way it was played in another country, what a perfect spot to start the season. And, of course, with the Cyclones and the Wildcats, two Big 12 favorites.
Mm-hmm. Jack?
I'm 3 for 3 on football. I think connecting to the game itself is just seeing fans of Iowa State, fans of K-State, and just college football fans in general, people posting photos from Ireland, people just excited to get on the couch and watch, everybody kind of watching the same game, the same thing, which we don't really get in modern day television. Our buddies in the local media who got to take a trip over to Ireland, we got to see them on the field and in the stand/press box, that kind of open press box area in Aviva Stadium. It was just so cool to see everything come together for week one, and the game kind of lived up to the hype.
Yeah, hearing you guys, it means that we're just ready for football, right? Well, Iowa did release their depth chart today, and with that, not too many surprises. I think the biggest one for me was kind of I'll start with the running backs, maybe a little switch up there with just as far as Jazz Patterson being kind of listed down lower than what I expected. And then obviously no Nathan McNeil. He had some spurts too at spring ball, I think, of just what his potential or future could be. But I mean, Kamari Moulton it's going to be a good back. And then Terrell Washington as well. Anything else that stood out to you about the depth chart?
I think what I looked at first was left tackle. Because
you love those linemen.
But that's the reason why if you're going to win a championship, those are the guys who have to do it. And seeing Trevor Lauk and Jack Dotzler being a junior, Lauk being a sophomore, battle for that spot, and it's still an or. And I think this is a position that's probably going to go in through the rest of the month. I don't think this is going to be solved in week 1 or week 3. I think this is something that'll go on pretty deep. And then Bryce George, the newcomer from Division II, his head was swimming early in camp, but he's kind of starting to come along. So where this position ends up to me is most fascinating, and I wanted to see how they stacked, and it looks like right now it's still a flip of the coin.
Yeah, it is. The oars were a little bit on the depth chart, which, we know that they like to do that. Jack, anything stand out, surprise you?
Yeah, those are Kirk Ferentz's favorite two letters, OR. The running backs were interesting to me. I talked to Kamari Moulton a little bit during media day, and he said he's becoming a lot more well-rounded, pass blocking, catching. The question is, can he be consistent? Can he be an every single down guy? Or if this is a running back by committee, could he be a first and second down guy with consistency? We've seen it in spurts from Moulton, but we haven't seen it every single day. You mentioned Terrell Washington. He is the classic win guy. If this is earth, wind, and fire, he's a converted wide receiver, right? He can catch the ball out of the backfield, and I'm excited to see a lot more of him. he could be sort of a security blanket for new quarterback Mark Gronowski. And then with Patterson, he's sort of a tweener, I wrote down, because he's big, but he's not huge. He's fast, but he's not the fastest guy. He's powerful, but I don't think he's significantly more powerful than anyone else. I'd really like to see him settle into a consistent role.
You know, when I look at the running backs, I mean, they could go 5 or even 6 deep, and that's really important right now because this is a position that traditionally gets banged up in Iowa's offense. It is a very physical offense. They like to move people off the ball. They run. They have one of the best zone blocking schemes in the country, if not anywhere. And I think you look at Jazz Patterson. He's number 4 or 2 or whatever, but he is a very physical back. You know, he's not as big as, you know, Jack hit all the right notes there. But Kamari Moulton is the one that I think kind of stands out for me. He's been dinged up and had a leg injury in camp. But, you know, the odds are he's the favorite in the Big Ten to lead the Big Ten in rushing yards. He's the odds-on favorite. So if you want to get to your local betting parlor, that's where I would go. But I think, you know, you also look at Xavier Williams ended up on there. Very big back, physical back. And then finally what we saw a lot of, I imagine that only because he's a true freshman is Nathan McNeil not on there because he flashed a lot in the spring and definitely in August.
We'll just have to wait and see, right? I mean, the thing, though, too, looking at the depth chart that I think is a good note to point out, too, is they're healthy. The Hawkeyes are healthy, and that's not something that every team can say. And at the same time, Iowa has been banged up in certain positions. Just stay with the offense with me. Wideouts, they want to be more involved. We know that. What do we need to see from them? Maybe week 1. I know it's against Albany and everything, but what do we need to see to maybe help them or maybe let Iowa fans know that they are going to be a little bit more involved in this offense?
You know, I guess they've got probably 8 guys that are going to play a lot. I think you're going to see it's not even really going to be a rotation. I think you're going to see all of their snaps be in the neighborhood of 20 to 25 because what we saw with the depth chart with Sam Phillips, the transfer coming from Chattanooga, as on the number 1 line. I mean, he's 5'7". It's really kind of unusual to see somebody in that spot, and we didn't see a lot of him. But I want to see more of him. I think what we're going to see in week 1 is they're going to run routes, they're going to catch passes, and then they're going to just switch things up. They're not going to show a whole lot because of who week 2 is. But I do want to see them make plays, and I want to see the ball get there on time. That is something we haven't seen in Iowa for a long, long time, almost a decade. So I'd like to see that happen with regularity.
Okay.
Yeah, we haven't talked about this because this is our first on Iowa Live, but something we've chatted amongst ourselves about was the depth at this receiver position. We haven't really seen it at Iowa for a very long time. It's the first offseason in a while where we're talking about the wide receivers before the tight ends. I'm kind of just curious. Look, as you said, they're going to run the ball a lot against Albany. They're not going to be put in 3rd and 10, 3rd and 15 a lot. So this is going to be a game film game to go back and see, well, they're not going to throw the ball a ton, but which wide receivers are getting open? You mentioned Sam Phillips. I think Reese Vanderzee was ironically behind him. That's not something we should read into too much, right, Scott? No. But he's the breakout guy that had that great game against Illinois State in week 1 last year. He's the guy I'm looking for if I had to place a bet in the stock market on a future Iowa wide receiver.
And I think another interesting point, Chelsie, with this is Seth Anderson's finally healthy. This is his 3rd year at Iowa. He's really been banged up throughout. You know, the son of Flipper Anderson, who still holds the NFL record for most receiving yards in a game. He looks like he's a breakout guy. Jacob Gill came over from Northwestern last year and led the team. Very solid and dependable. They go really deep. KJ Parker seems to be the next breakout star we've heard a lot about. Didn't really show much on Kids Day, but you know what? That was the most vanilla practice of the year. They knew everybody's taking video of it, and they also knew everybody was going to watch that video. So there was nothing showed there. I think you're going to see probably mixed up for the first 4 to 5, 6 weeks, probably a different guy lead that unit.
Yeah.
You know, you might see somebody have 4 catches in week 1. They may not get a single catch in week 2. I think it's just there's probably 8 guys that are going to flash, and somebody not even on the depth chart, a Dayton Howard or a Jarrett Bowie may lead the team at some point. So I like the production out of this unit.
And I don't think that's a bad thing to have a different guy leading every week. And that'll probably be a story on Tuesdays. All the TV people are going to ask, so is it, you know, you got no catches last week, but these guys are so selfless. They'll say we're doing whatever we can to win the game. And I think you're going to see a lot of 4 catch to 1 catch, 6 catch to back to 1 catches.
Yeah.
It's not bad to have depth when it comes to the wide receivers position, but I'd have to argue the guy who has the most eyes on him, probably Mark Gronowski. We're going to talk about him after the break. All right, welcome back in. We are going to start this block off with a audience question. This one's from Eugene. With Mark Gronowski's expectations, what is considered a successful season? If you guys had to.
I think there's multiple facets here, and one is statistically, you want to see in this offense probably above a 62% completion percentage.
Okay.
You want 3-to-1 or even 4-to-1 in touchdowns to interceptions, but really it's about engineering victory. And I know sometimes that can be a little boring. We've seen boring a lot over the years, especially when it comes to offense. But if you've got a guy who's, say he throws for 2,800 yards, completes 63% of his passes, 24 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, and they win 11 games, I think that's a successful season for Mark Gronowski.
I agree. It's all about the W's at the end. It's not about the yards. It's not about the touchdowns. I sound like a little Kirk Ferentz here, but that's the most important stat out there. And can Gronowski lead his team to some wins? Because we haven't seen that in a while for an Iowa quarterback. The quarterback actually leading his team to victory.
Absolutely. I think, too, when he starts out, it's just a matter of playing clean football. We saw some maybe iffy snaps, some bad snaps, too, in that Kids Day game and everything. And I think once he kind of gets himself into a groove, things will play out just the way that they're supposed to. But you guys touched on it, too. He's a proven winner. And I think that goes a long way, regardless of if you're at the FCS level or the FBS level. I mean, I think he's a real deal, and I think he could really, really help this Iowa offense this season.
He's the perfect quarterback for what Iowa wants to do. I mean, he's run for almost 2,000 yards in his career, almost 40 touchdowns, and thrown for 10,090-plus touchdowns. He's engineered victory at the highest level that he can attain, and that was 2 national championships. He was Player of the Year in FCS a couple of years ago. He fought through an injury to be the second-best team in the country last year and lost a hard-fought semifinal to North Dakota State. He can engineer victory. And the only thing that he's got to work on, and it's going to take some time for him, is catching up to the speed of the game at this level, like when he plays in Iowa State and Indiana, Rutgers, and then beyond, and making sure he has good chemistry with his receivers. That's going to also take a little bit of time. He's been a little bit behind on some throws. It just takes better anticipation. He is a good quarterback. He's going to engineer victory, and he's going to throw an interception once in a while. Yeah. So I wouldn't exactly say get rid of the guy.
Yeah, it's Albany coming up. This is a game Iowa is most likely going to win. But what am I looking for from Gronowski? Certainly no fumbles, no interceptions if you can. And they're not going to be in a lot of 3rd and long situations, but I'm looking for Gronowski to throw the ball on time in your 3rd and mediums. That's where your money is made in the NFL and now in college. Can he do that, and can he lead into a game in Ames against Iowa State that it's a lot faster? It's good. There's good football out in FCS with South Dakota State, but it's a lot faster. Can he process it fast enough?
And then we're going to switch gears. We're going to go to the defensive side. A lot of question marks, specifically within the linebacker position. Obviously, the depth chart came out. Carson Shire, Jaden Harrell, Jackson Rexroth at that Leo position. Those are the guys that are going to have to replace the Jay Higgins, the Nick Jacksons, the Kyler Fishers. That is not an easy task. But there's been a lot of confidence talked about amongst this group, and specifically with their leadership. And it seems like they've kind of just picked up where the others have left off.
They've had to wait their time and their turn for this. And it's been an unfortunate byproduct of the COVID season because it allowed other players to get an extra year. They didn't get one. And at the front end, they were struggling to get scholarships or get looks. And now they finally get their opportunity. And they've performed well enough to where they would have been, really the starter last year had things not worked out in a different way for them. I think it's good for them that they're playing a game like Albany right off the bat. All of them are talented enough to start and compete against Big Ten teams. But I think this way, your first action is against an opponent that if Iowa doesn't win by 5 touchdowns, I think it is a disappointing game. And because this is a team that has an interim coach and only won 2 games last year. So I think overall, this is really a good game for them to get their feet wet.
I'll address kind of an elephant in the room for Iowa reporters is the backup linebacker situation is a lot it's really good. It's better than most backup situations. It just so happens that the guys behind Harrell and Rexroth and Carson Shire are mostly redshirt freshmen. A lot of freshmen, like Eastern Iowa guys, Cam Buffington, Derek Weiskoff, and Preston Reese. I think what I'm looking for Harrell, Shire, and Rexroth is they've made flashy plays. Can they do it consistently? And I think if Reese and Weiskoff and Buffington and Jaden Montgomery, if those guys never get on the field throughout the season, I think that's a win because Iowa is so good because of their consistency at linebacker position. I mean, Seth Benson and Jack Campbell, they didn't miss a game. Jay Higgins and Nick Jackson, those guys didn't miss a game. I think the consistency at linebacker is going to be huge. But since it is Albany, maybe we can wish for third quarter, fourth quarter. We can see some of those freshmen on the field.
You'll see them.
So the key is to stay healthy, too.
Yes,
That's just kind of part of the package as well. Behind them, though, there's been some question marks, specifically with corner. When you saw the depth chart today, did that surprise you?
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think TJ Hall was banged up a little bit in camp. He's back. He looks the part. Iowa traditionally has this senior standout in the secondary that takes that step forward and goes from being kind of a guy to, an all Big Ten caliber guy. And I think he's in that development stage. Deshaun Lee is somebody who has struggled a lot in the past, had some flash plays. He's opposite him. But I also like that Jalen Watson is pushing. Right now it sounds like it's those three are the core at corner, and then Shahad Barrios is another one who's kind of moving his way up. He's from South Dakota. So I think that right now you want to see improvement. This week may be a good, again, spot for them to get better, but they'll get really tested in a week and a half.
Yeah.
You mentioned Jalen Watson and Rashad Godfrey. I think those two guys were on the field a lot in the Kids Day scrimmage. Guys, you want to remember their names, but if you're an Iowa fan, you don't necessarily want to see them because that probably means Deshaun Lee has gotten pulled off the field. I think for Lee, you just have to get consistency. And for TJ Hall, I think he's developed that consistency. The question now is, can he be a playmaker? He doesn't have to be Cooper DeJean, second round NFL guy. Freudian slip. Should have been a first round NFL guy. But maybe he could be like a Jamari Harris.
I think that's fair. I think if you can get into that position to where you're a second team all Big Ten guy, especially in this Big Ten, that's a big time win.
Do you think, I know usually the offense is kind of the most talked about, the biggest question marks there. Do you think it's the offense or the defense this year?
I think quarterback's its own category.
Yeah. Okay.
So all eyes are going to be on quarterback. But I do think defense it fits into that because there has been so many losses. That said, I think there might be some net wins and some net gains here. I mean, when you look at Max Llewellyn, in some ways, I mean, he was their most impressive edge rusher last year. And then you look at in the secondary, Sebastian Castro is right on the border of getting cut or staying in Pittsburgh. But I think, and Quinn was a really heady, solid player for a long time. But Zach Lutmer and Cohen Entringer are supreme athletes when you throw on Xavier Wampa. So I think there might be some additions there, almost by subtraction. But still, I want to see it. And again, I can't impress this enough that a week and a half, you'll know whether they're ready or not.
Yeah, it's as simple as just getting back to the Phil Parker defense Iowa fans are used to. The big plays they're just not acceptable, and I think Phil Parker and the team looked at the film a lot. And like you mentioned, Scott, you have a Jay Higgins leaving, you have a Nick Jackson leaving, Deontay Craig and Y.A. Black, but there's a reason this team is called a developmental program. This team develops guys that – think about Jeremiah Pittman. That guy's been there this is his 5th year. He hasn't started a game, but he could be all Big Ten this year. I think it's the same with Max Llewellyn, who doesn't have a start. Cohen Entringer only has 1 start in his career, and it was at Cash. He's going to start more at safety. So I think the defense has a lot of talent they brought back, even though they graduated some NFL guys.
Well, you guys keep hinting at that Week 2 matchup, so let's just talk about the Cyclones when we come back, right? All right, welcome back into OnIowa Live. We're going to start off with a question. Eugene says the team out west had to install a lot of offense to beat Kansas State. Does that help Iowa's scouting? Thoughts?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, not only does Iowa State, that team out west, that's good, Eugene. Not only do they have to put a lot on film in Dublin, it's also an extra game in Dublin. So yes, Iowa State fans certainly have to be happy about their performance, but they can't be happy about how much they put on film for Iowa to see.
I look at it both ways here. I mean, yes, that's true. Iowa's not going to put much on film. They better not anyway on Saturday. However, Iowa State beat a really good team. I mean, they beat a ranked opponent that was 17th. And, yes, they had to expend a lot of their film and showed a lot there. But at the same time, the Cyclones came out with a win, and that's probably more than giving up the playbook there. So, yes, Iowa's going to be able to really dive into it. But that confidence you get playing over the seas, playing a rival, winning that rivalry game, and putting yourself in first place in the Big 12, that probably trumps the game, what you might have lost by giving up some of your playbook.
I think the most interesting thing was the Rocco Beck post-game interview where he kind of said his OC Taylor Mauser gave him 2 plays on that 4th down conversion that they had that was so crucial, and they trusted their quarterback to, number one, make the decision, make the play, and then ultimately, that led to them winning the game. I think that shows how much trust they have in their quarterback and how much confidence he has. I mean, this is his 3rd year starting, but that's still impressive, especially week 1.
Beck's his mental toughness is, I'll never forget, he told me this in a post-game interview after the win against UCF. He says, mental toughness is my superpower. Even throwing interceptions, he gets back on the field late in the 4th quarter and makes the play when he's needed. ISU is 7-1 in one-possession games dating back to the 2023 game at Kansas State. That snow game ended up being a one-possession game. And I'll just ask a rhetorical question, although I'm sure someone knows the answer. How many quarterbacks in college football on a Power 4 team have started 29 straight games over the course of now 2 years and 2 years and 1 game for one team? Becht has just developed this trust with Taylor Mauser, Matt Campbell, his line, his wide receivers. He's obviously, I'm not breaking any news when I tell you he's going to be the key in whether or not Iowa State goes 10-2 or 11 wins like last year or 7 wins.
It's fascinating because I think Drew Aller from Penn State's probably in that category, but to have that much success in close games means that you're able to engineer victory in critical moments, which he did. I mean, that was a gutsy call, that 4th and 3 that they went for it, and it made sense at the time because you're up by a field goal. If you're up by 6, you give them a chance to take go down the road. But I think this situation, you look at. To be able to win the way they did in the rain, play the way they did down the stretch versus a first half, which was very, very sloppy. This is an important one. But the one thing I'm interested in is the whole season. They absolutely should celebrate this victory. No question about it. And they deserve all of it. But 6-1 in one-score games the last 2 years, then 7-1 going all the way back to Snowmageddon in Manhattan. Sometimes that evens out for teams, and the bad breaks beat you. And I'm curious to see if that may be the case with Iowa State if they don't process this win quickly.
Along those lines, how do they? Because, I mean, at this point, when you look at when Iowa and Iowa State meet, Iowa State has, 2 games on their belt. Iowa just has the 1. They also went overseas. They also beat a lot harder competition, more than likely. If you're Iowa State, how do you just flip the page? I mean, what's the best advice for getting ready for not only Iowa, but then obviously South Dakota, who is obviously no slouch?
Yeah, geez, you can't skip over South Dakota. Yeah. Matt Campbell was saying in his post-game press conference that the schedule is kind of set up for them to fail. And he was coach speak a little bit, hyping up his opponents as he should. But he's got a point. You are home to South Dakota, a top 5 team in the FCS. You're home to Iowa. We know how emotional and one score that game is. And then you go to Jonesboro to play Arkansas State. Iowa State is I don't know if they're obviously not in trouble, but it's a troubling trend when it comes to teams coming back from Ireland. Even if you win the game in Ireland, sometimes, like we learned in 2022 with 1-11 Northwestern, sometimes doesn't matter that you won a game. Nebraska, by the way, who they beat, ended up going 4-8. They didn't fare much better.
You want to there's jet lag,
Yep.
and there's all the excitement. Everybody loves you. Everybody's thrilled. But Matt Campbell and Kirk Ferentz are both built the same way, where they bring it back to ground zero when they get back, and he's got to coach it out of them. Okay, last week was last week. We got to focus on the present. And South Dakota, as Jack said, is one of the best teams. It had a 4 bye last year. It was one of the 4 best teams in FCS. This is not a team that you could just walk in. It's not Albany. It's not a team you could just walk in and you're going to beat by 5 or 6 touchdowns. I mean, they're going to play you hard. A lot of those players on that roster are Iowa kids or kids that maybe wanted to go to Iowa State. This is their opportunity to shine. And we've seen South Dakota State play well in this state. We've seen North Dakota State win at Kinnick 9 years ago now, I guess. But, so it was a few years ago for me, but 9 years ago. So I think this is one that they've got to be able to put in their back of their mind and play well, even if they're not at the top of their game.
There are some question marks, obviously, for the Cyclones heading into the season, specifically offense, losing their 2 best wide receivers and everything. I mean, they found a way, but I truly think once you got the ball in Rocco's hands, he just makes things happen. We knew that, obviously, Carson Hansen was going to be the guy at running back. But as far as, moving forward, it seemed first half, like you said, a little bit sloppy, a little bit messy. Weather obviously played a factor, but that second half, the adjustments they made, what did you see from that Iowa State team that makes you potentially think that, we know it's going to be competitive, but will be competitive, obviously, week 3 for them?
I think Taylor Mauser kind of got away from the fancy stuff and just realized, you know what? I've got a 3-year starting quarterback. I'm going to give him the ball, and I'm going to run the ball when I can with Carson Hansen. And I think what's interesting is this is a Kansas State team that's good up front. And Iowa State eventually was just able to lean on them with their offensive line and their 14 personnel, the 4 tight ends on the field at the same time, and it worked out for them in the fourth quarter. I think the game against Iowa, it might be a bet the under game just in that sense because Iowa's always strong at tight end. They have a quarterback who will be playing in his second game. So they're going to be running the ball a lot. And then for Iowa State, you pull out that 14 personnel, and you have a good running back in Carson Hansen. Maybe you want to slow the game down a little bit.
Iowa's better than Kansas State, in my opinion. I think in every position. So I think you're going to see a slugfest. But I tell you what, seeing Farmageddon get this kind of praise, what a great game. It's a shame that this might go away in 2027 for at least for a year. Needs to come back and stay back.
There you go. There's a hot take. All right, well, we'll have some audience questions when we come back.
Welcome back to On Iowa Live. Frank Balvance here, being joined by Mike Riley. Mike, tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for Ability Physical Therapy and Elite Fitness.
Yeah, Frank. My name's Mike Reiling, and I'm a physical therapist, and I got my training from the University of Iowa as an athletic trainer. I grew up in Lisbon, Iowa, so I'm from this area, and I love this area.
Very good. Tell us a little bit about more what you do for the community and for Ability Physical Therapy.
Yeah, so I'm very proud of being part of a private practice, and as a private practice, we're in the community and we pay property taxes, we employ people in the community, and we try to give back to the community both through the sponsoring schools and then also doing community activities.
Very good. Well, we appreciate you, and thanks for being a sponsor with us here on Iowa Live.
All right, welcome back in. We are going to go to some audience questions. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, this says just Doc, so sorry, Scott. What does Vegas see Iowa lacking to put them at a 7.5 win total for the season?
It's the schedule. I mean, they played 4 teams that won 11 games last year. I mean, 3 of them that were in the playoff. They have the most difficult schedule in the Big Ten when it comes to at home. So 7.5 is something that it's a really a good number because it has faith that Iowa's a good team, but it also acknowledges that it could be a lot of close games and could lose those games. So I like 7.5 as a good number for the Hawkeyes.
Yeah. Jack, you want to weigh in?
I'm no betting expert, but I like 7.5 to get the over. It's been a pretty safe bet since Kirk Ferentz got things going at Iowa.
That is true. That is true. The next question, who's your breakout player this year that we have not heard too much about? Can you think of anyone else?
Have we said the name KJ Parker? We said the name Jalen Watson. Who haven't we really talked about?
That's okay. You can still pick your breakout.
I guess I saw those two play really well at the spring game, and they have kind of stuck in my mind for a little while. So breakout, I think by definition, it's not going to be immediate, but eventually one of those two guys might find his way onto the field as a third wide receiver or third cornerback and make some plays. And kind of they're going to be the guys we talk about in the offseason next year as, wow, this guy could be an All-American.
I'm going to go with somebody who hasn't started yet.
Okay.
And that's Max Llewellyn. I think Max Llewellyn could be in a year where there are more great pass rushers in the Big Ten than in any other position in the country. He could still be among the top 4 or 5 of them. I think he could be a double-digit sack guy and potentially a first-team All-Big Ten guy if he can do it.
I like that pick. I'll make it quick. I'll go Cohen Intringer, which we've heard about, but still. What's your prediction for this year? Can Iowa get into the playoffs?
Yes. I mean, we did bowl projections at the Athletics, Stuart Mandel and I, and it wasn't just me, but we collectively picked Iowa to go to the playoff and go 10-2 in the regular season. It is a tremendously difficult schedule, but when you look at what separates Iowa and what has separated Iowa, I think the defense still may be on the similar track as last year, which is good, not exceptional. However, with a quarterback who's won games and the best special teams in the country at every single position, that wins games in the margins. So I think Iowa absolutely can get to the playoff.
Yeah?
I was going to say, you took the word margin right out of my mouth. The margins is why Iowa has been able to win consistently against rivals from the old Big Ten West like Minnesota and Wisconsin and Nebraska, and I think they could steal a game from a Penn State, Indiana, or Oregon. I think Iowa fans are hoping, expecting, to maybe get one of those at home, and I think 10-2 probably in the Big Ten gets you into the playoff. 9-3, you got a shot. Those are two different things, obviously, the playoff and your record, but I think both of those are on the table for Iowa.
Well, they say Kinnick is the place where top-ranked teams go to die, right? So we'll see. We're going to do something new this year. We're going to do some pick-ems. We're going to do the 3 in-state teams, and then we're going to do just 3, top 25 matchups, big games, and whatever. So we're going to start with Iowa-Albany. These are going to get juicier as it goes along. Scott, go ahead.
Iowa's going to win this. I mean, I think they're 37.5-point favorite. I mean, Iowa's going to win this by 40+ if Kirk allows it to happen in the fourth quarter. So I think this is 49-0.
Yeah, Jack?
These picks aren't going to be super entertaining right now, but just you wait for the next few weeks. I've got Iowa over Albany as well.
So does Colin. You guys will meet Colin later in the season. I, too, have Iowa. Moving on to Iowa State versus South Dakota.
I think this is going to be a challenging game, but I think Iowa State's a better team. I think Iowa State still wins this somewhat decisively. It's not going to be by the same margin as the Hawkeyes, but I think Iowa State wins this one in the neighborhood of like 30-13 or something like that.
Okay.
I think it could be even closer than that, but same logic as you, Scott. I think Iowa State wins the game just because they're at home and they're a better team, and eventually that shows through. It might be close through the first couple of quarters, though.
Colin, too, picked Iowa State. And I as well picked Iowa State. We'll see how that goes week 3, right? Moving on to UNI. Obviously, new team up there. They faced Butler, who 9-3 last season. Not a bad team. Todd Steps is his first year. Do you think UNI gets the win week 1?
I think it's a close one, but I'll defer on Jack. I think I'll pick UNI, but I'll defer to Jack on the analysis.
Yeah, I'm going to pick UNI because why not? They're at home. Matthew Shackelman is the guy to watch. He's the new starting quarterback. He's certainly built like one. 6'3", 210. It's about consistency, the numbers I wrote down. How about this? Against North Dakota State, he passed 22 out of 32, 270 yards, 2 touchdowns, and no interceptions. Can he do that consistently throughout the year? I think Todd Steps' crew is building something. It's not going to be immediate, but he is building something.
I think Colin went with Butler on this one, so he's the outlier. I'm going to stick with UNI and go Panthers. Okay, our other 3, we have Notre Dame, Miami. 6th-ranked Notre Dame versus Miami. Scott, who do you have?
I'm going to go with the Canes on this one. It's going to be a close game as well, but Carson Beck, is a multi-year starter, a guy who we all thought was going to be in the NFL draft this year. He's leading the Miami Hurricanes. C.J. Carr making his first start for the Fighting Irish. just that dynamic alone. Plus, it's in Miami. That's why I'm going with the Canes.
Yeah.
I'd actually I'm going with Notre Dame, and I can't pretend to know as much about the national college football landscape as you do, Scott, but I just trust Marcus Freeman in those big games more than Mario Cristobal. And the Miami home field advantage, it's a home field advantage, but it's not Ohio State or Michigan in terms
or
of home
South
field
Bend.
advantage, exactly.
Colin's going to join forces with Jack. He's got Notre Dame. I, too, Miami, home game. Also, Beck, that's kind of where my brain was going. We have LSU versus Clemson. 9 LSU, 4 Clemson. Scott.
This is a great opener, and most years this would be the best opener of the weekend, but not. It's only number 2 this time. I'm going with Clemson. They're at home. LSU's lost 5 straight season openers. 2 great quarterbacks, maybe the 2 best in the country, but Cade Klubnik at Clemson is as polished as they come. Plus, they have maybe the best defensive line, certainly in the ACC, but if not in the country. So I'm going to go with Clemson, but I think it's going to be a good one.
I was picking LSU for a while before I changed it to Clemson. This could be Cade Klubnik's breakout game. Breakout. People know who Cade Klubnik is. The game that maybe vaults him to number 1 or 2 in the Heisman rankings, and they've got this defensive guy, Peter Woods is his name, right? I saw him on Bruce Feldman's freak lists, and my eyebrows were raised. I think he's probably the best player on the field whenever he is on the field, so I got the Tigers.
We all picked Clemson. I'll just kind of wrap that one up. Last one that we got to do very quickly. We have Texas and Ohio State. I'm looking forward to this game. Who do you have?
Oh, my. This is as good of a game as you're ever going to get. They're in the semifinals against each other, 1 versus 2 in one pool, 1 versus 3 in the other. I've got Texas. I think Arch Manning I think he's a little more polished than Julian Sayin, who is a 5-star. Ohio State has the 2 best players in the country, but they replaced 14 guys who went to the NFL, including their whole entire defensive line. I'm going with Longhorns.
I don't have a strong lean, but I am going Ohio State for the simple, square answer of they're never not going to have the best player on the field. You've got Caleb Downs playing safety for Ohio State, and Jeremiah Smith, the wide receiver, probably is the best offensive player in the country.
Oh, without question. Absolutely.
He's incredible. So
All
that's
right.
why
Well,
LSU.
Colin is with you on Ohio State. I'm going Texas because my parents would disown me if I did not. All right. We're going to have the Xavier girls tennis team join us when we come back. All right, we're going to start with this week's Girls Tennis Athlete of the Week nominees. Xavier's Gabby Fleming, I'm sure she's here, is defending state singles champions. It's 9-0 in the season. Jefferson's Lily Holland, also 9-0, took second last year's singles state tournament. And then Dubuque Hempstead's Maya Hoden, 6-4 in the season. She and her brother advanced to last year's 2A state co-ed semifinals. To vote, you can go to our Instagram story or our website homepage at kcrg.com. But joining me right now is Xavier girls tennis head coach Matt Foxhoven. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Let's talk about last season a little bit. I mean, that was a clean sweep. Singles, doubles, team.
Yeah.
You completed it. What did that mean to you in this program?
I mean, it was awesome. Not much more you can say. We kind of talked all year about, we thought it was a possibility, but the nice thing is the girls wanted the team won first. That was a big one.
Mm-hmm.
The year prior, we lost in the finals, and so to bounce back and get that was great. Gabby going into singles was the heavy favorite, and she backed it up big time. And then Ruby and Izzy going doubles. I think they said it in one of their interviews. They've been best friends since they were in kindergarten, so it was a great way for them to wrap up their senior year in their athletic career.
Yeah, absolutely. And let's rope in the boys, too, a little bit, because Xavier just swept all the tennis titles. I mean, what did that mean to the school?
That was awesome.
Yeah.
The nice thing about it was we got ours before they did, so
no pressure.
The pressure was on them. It had happened a few years prior where we just had to win team, and we ended up losing it. And so felt the pressure, but the boys, they cleaned up as well. They did great, and it's fun. Once we get into postseason, we kind of practice at the same time.
Yeah,
they'll be on some courts. We'll be on. So the group is they're all good friends. They all cheer on each other, play outside of the season together. So it was fun to see them do that as well.
Yeah, that's incredible. This year's lineup, I know you're talking a lot about last year, but what do you like about this year's lineup?
Well, it starts at the top when you have the 2-time defending state champ.
Yeah.
And she just kind of can go out and handle business. And she leads by example, and she's intense when she's out there. And but we have 6 girls that played either in the lineup throughout the year or in the state tournament. And so just having that experience back, especially coming off a short break, is good for us.
Absolutely. And then when you look at the switch, obviously that was the spring when you guys did the double, triple crown, we'll call it. And then you guys turned around, you're playing in the fall season. I know there's some positives and some negatives with that. What are some of the positives that you've seen so far?
Well, one, the weather. It's been much better than starting in March and playing through snow flurries and everything like that. But I just think coming off kind of having summer to play together as a team, girls can go play in tournaments. I think that's the big thing, is just we're going to get our athletes kind of at the peak of their game instead of, you know, kind of the lull of the winter and then coming back out of it. So I think just coming off next year, having spring and summer to really prepare will be a big positive for it.
Yeah. Are there any negatives that you've seen? Is it the quick turnaround, or?
This year, I'd say just kind of the logistics of everything, getting kids signed up, getting parent emails and everything like that just so quick. We have 2 awesome assistant coaches that handled uniforms and did all that stuff. And so just, I think, you know, just some tweaks to the scheduling will happen a little bit as we go on. But so far, no real complaints. It's been fun playing in the fall. It's the summer really, but it's been fun.
Good to hear. Well, when we come back, we're going to have the entire team join us up here. Stay with us. All right. Thank you, everyone. Welcome back in. We have the entire Xavier girls tennis team with me, the defending state champions. That feels fun to say. And we also have Gabby Fleming on the mic. Why don't you introduce your teammates for us real quick?
Okay.
Go ahead.
This is Gemma Unadam. She's
Beautiful.
a junior.
Uh-huh.
This is Lulu Roseboom. She's a senior. Chelsie Weiss. She's a sophomore. Tia Halabi. She's a junior. Emma Richmond. She's a senior. And also Gemma Zexter. She's a senior.
Beautiful. What does it feel like going back to that spring to complete that triple crown, to get the singles, doubles, and the team?
It was super awesome, especially since, you know, we work really hard all year round. It was just really cool to see all of our hard work pay off in many different ways, singles and team and doubles.
Yeah. What do you feel like this group of girls can kind of build off from last year's just success?
Yeah, for sure. I think, you know, most of us have a lot of the experience, and I think that's really helpful going into the next year. And also, I think we can build off just the relationships from last year. We were so close as a team last year, and I feel like this year as well, we're super close. So that's always really good when you have a connected team. It's easier to go out and win.
Have you liked the switch from the spring to the fall?
Yeah, I do like it. The weather's definitely a lot nicer.
Yeah.
It's nice to have practice and not have to worry about school and everything. But the scheduling's a little crazy because we had like 9 meets in 10 days and we only have a few left. So that was crazy. But yeah, I like it.
Yeah. It feels weird that it's going to be ending in October, doesn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
It feels like it flies by really fast.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have a match tomorrow, correct?
Yeah.
Against Jeff?
Yeah, at Veterans Memorial Tennis Courts. Yeah.
How are you guys kind of preparing when it comes to that one, especially just because you're going to have a fun one in singles too?
Yeah, we just had like a light hit today, you know, because we have a meet tomorrow. And, yeah, I just hopefully get a good night's rest tonight. And, yeah.
That's crucial. Yeah. You have 2 state singles titles.
Yeah.
I'm sure you're hoping for the three-peat.
Mm-hmm.
But what have you learned from those state tournament experiences that, you know, helps you kind of prepare for that mentality and getting to that level?
I think the work that I need to put in the off season, as well as how to handle my nerves better, like when I get to the state championship and stuff like that. And so, yeah.
We're showing video, obviously.
Okay.
What does this one mean, or what memories kind of come up from this when you watch your teammates there?
It was super cool for them because I know they put in so much hard work in season to get better and it's just really cool to see that pay off for them.
Coach, what memories come up when you see this video?
Fun ones, for sure.
Yeah.
It's a long 2 days when we're up there, but it's kind of go, 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 and then you get to the end there, and it just kind of hits you, and oh man, they did it. And so, really good memories up there, and we like going up to Waterloo and playing at that facility up there.
Yeah. Do you guys feel the pressure of everyone kind of wanting to beat you?
I mean, I feel like I don't feel that much pressure.
Yeah.
That's the nice thing I'll say about Gabby, and it's kind of translated to the team. When she was a freshman, she got the 1 seed at state, and I was a little worried. You know, your first one, you can feel the pressure, and she wants to be the 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
I think if she would have been the 2 seed, it would have been more of an issue for her.
Okay.
And she just kind of wants that and enjoys kind of that, and it's translated to everybody on the team. They know that we're going to get everybody's best shot, but that's when we play our best too.
Have you guys talked even further down, just because you guys accomplished so much, of what the goals are, or what are they, this season?
Yeah, I feel like definitely this year there's been a big focus on, obviously not to get too ahead of ourselves, but we know what we want at the end of the season, and we're working to get that, definitely.
Now, going along with that, you guys have to have fun, right? Or else you wouldn't do it. How do you guys have fun?
Well, today we went to Starbucks all with the team after practice, and then we went and watched a bit of the JV meet, so that was super fun. We just try to hang out and stay connected.
Are you guys pumpkin spice latte fans?
No.
Oh, okay. I was going to let you know that they come out tomorrow, but never mind. Never mind. Well, thank you guys for joining me. I appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, for being here for our premiere of On Iowa Live. We will see you again next week. It might be a change in location, but I'm not going to tell you too much after that. So see you then.